the best of us. So I dance the night away when nobody's awake.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to Tyra's Just Saying, where we have real conversations about life, leadership, wellness, purpose, and everything in between, because sometimes it just needs to be said. Today, I am excited to welcome Dr. Tanise McInnis, a licensed clinician, educator, consultant, podcaster, and the founder of Dope DSW, a faith rooted live experience media and publishing platform centered on authentic storytelling and community. Her platform is also home to the Dope DSW Review and the podcast Let's Gather with Dr. Tan. Dr. Tanise brings together professional expertise, faith, lived experience, and the power of storytelling to create spaces where people can show up authentically, share their experiences, and build meaningful connections. So, grab your coffee, your tea, or your favorite beverage and get comfortable because we're about to have a conversation filled with purpose, truth, and inspiration. Dr. Tanise, welcome to Tyra's Just Saying.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I always love to come back.
Yeah,
And
look, I always love when I have all of you come back. We haven't spoken, and look, I think the last time we spoke was COVID.
it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yes, so I'm so happy to have you back here today. And so, how's everything been going?
Things have been well. Businesses have been flourishing. And the most meaningful thing is that lives are being impacted and stories are being told because that is what it is all about. Using that God embedded purpose that He's given each of us and using that to impact and inspire someone else.
Yes, I tell you, I look, if I tell people all the time, it's like you got to be a believer, baby, because we got to believe in something, and God is making changes, and He's helping us, and
Yeah.
it's just like when I look at everything that I've gone through over the past few years, I don't know where I'd be without Him. Without Him and my mama, I don't know where I'd be.
I feel the exact same way. And I feel like that is why this conversation today is
Hmm.
so near and dear to my heart because it reminds me of she was my grandmother, but really my mother,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
she would always, you ever had a family member who would tell you, now, girl, that is not your friend. And sometimes we wouldn't see it, but it was something about
Hmm.
maybe that person's spirit or something about them that she could see. And so I'm so grateful for her and her discernment and it just makes this conversation even much more rich.
Yeah, so today, everyone, me and Dr. Tanise have been talking about things that, that is happening in society and things that conversations that need to be had that haven't been had. And the primary conversation that has been coming up, and I'm gonna say this conversation has been coming up is an age-old conversation. That's number one. But during COVID, it like sparked up interest, right? Because so many people have been looking for community. So today's topic of conversation is about friendship. And and it's just like when we look at what we consider to be a friend, it's like being able to ask yourself, what does a friend mean? What does a friend look like to you?
Mhm, mhm.
And it's just like, and when we sit down and you really think about it, we really need to sit down and hold ourselves accountable. Are we a good friend?
That's right. That's right.
you know
And that is exactly, Tyra. And that is the I guess the framework, the little short framework that I kind of want to share today. I
Mhm.
want to challenge each of us, myself including, as well as the listeners and viewers, that you have to take a wash, rinse, release
Mm.
perspective when it comes to friendship. Think about when you get ready to wash clothes, right? Or think about change. We change everything.
Mhm.
We will change our hair color if we're feeling, hey, what's the fall season? I'm gonna change my hair. We will go get a new haircut. maybe our fingernails, you feel like, oh, it's time for me to go get my fingernails done. We're able to identify sometimes when those areas need an update, a refresh, and oftentimes fail to look at that we really need to do the same things about
Mhm.
our friendships and our relationships.
Mhm.
And
I
that, Mhm.
no, I was agreeing with you. I agree.
and that very first step comes the wash cycle. So when you think about that, we can often think, oh, we're putting others in there to be washed. No,
Mhm.
no, no. This cycle is internal. It's,
Mm.
it's about us. It's about you.
There you
It's
go.
looking inward, looking in the mirror and looking at yourself. Number one, and you said it, have I been that friend?
Mhm.
I always, I have to root this back to the Father, the God, our God, because He's so instrumental. When He
Mhm.
talks about the fruits of the Spirit,
Mhm.
we have to look at, have I exemplified those? Have
Right.
I been caring? Have I been gentle in my speech?
Mhm.
Have I listened?
Mhm.
A lot of times we are quick to identify in that friend, oh, she didn't hear me when I was talking. Oh, I tried to get in contact with her and for the last 3 days and she didn't answer. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard to stop and pause and say, well, maybe it's not about me.
Right.
Maybe my friend is going through something. Maybe
Mhm.
she needs me right now.
Right.
To pause and say, well, how has she shown up for me or he or she shown up for me all
Mhm.
of these years? Is this a pattern or is this just something right now? This person needs me. So that first cycle is about, what do I need to do to change? How
Mm.
can I improve what I'm identifying in this other person? How can I make this change within myself?
Mhm.
How can I better show up for the same friend that I'm saying is not showing up for me? That's
Mhm.
that wash cycle.
Mhm. Yeah, you got that right. And and I think what it also is, I think so many people have been not not being good friends to people, right? They haven't been authentic to themselves. They haven't been authentic to others, that they have put themselves in spaces where the first thing they do is they become antagonistic, right? Because they feel that like they did something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because there's that guilt factor that's playing on them because now they feel guilty because of things they have done to so many others.
Mhm. You know what else? That kind of leads into that rinse cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You think about when you're washing clothes and the water is coming in to rinse the residue off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have to recognize, what is that residue?
Mm-hmm.
And because the old saying goes, that hurt people hurt people. So
Right.
is that residue trauma?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Is it that I've allowed myself, or maybe not, because some things happen that we allow, and some things happen in our past that are brought upon us.
Right.
But then it's still our responsibility. I
Mm-hmm.
way there to, now, what am I going to take with this hurt? And what am I going to take with this pain? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what that rinse cycle is about, is looking at, could this really be my response in this, that I have allowed these same type individuals, I'm attracting these same type individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an issue where I need to put boundaries in place? That rinse
Mm-hmm.
cycle is more about taking that assessment and magnifying it just a little bit more to say, hey, there may be some things in my past, some things that I've experienced, maybe some toxic relationships that I've endured that now have left some residue. And now, instead of seeing these friendships with a clean lens, I'm seeing them a little bit fuzzy and hazy. So the very first things that happen, I'm responding out of trauma
Right.
instead of responding out of trust.
Right. No, and I can understand that. And my favorite B word is boundaries.
Mm,
Right. And I'm always speaking on boundaries to people because people don't realize, how healthy putting a boundary in place is, especially for you. And the boundary is to protect you. And it's like so many people do so many different things. At the end of the day, you just want to be in a space where you are safe, right? And you have to be able and willing to say no,
Yeah.
right? You can't say yes to everything. And what happens with friendships, people say yes to everything, knowing good and well they really shouldn't.
Yes. That word no, now let me tell you, it seems so simple, but you are so right. It is a struggle
Hmm.
um, for a lot. And it could be what I have
Hmm.
seen is that, maybe that individual, maybe they have grown up in an environment where no was shame, no
Hmm.
was not acceptable. Um, Being a people pleaser and showing up um,
Right.
for other people will eventually catch up to you. Your body will begin to tell you, hey, you got to slow down. You can't do this. And we know we've heard you can't pour from an empty cup.
Hmm.
And so many of us do that. And so many of, the clients and maybe the populations that we serve, especially in this time of the hustle area
Hmm.
era,
Right. Right.
where you look at systemic things with inflation and
Hmm.
um, families needing to have multiple earners within the family, or if you're a single parent, you're having to take on two and three and four jobs.
Right.
Who really gets the permission to say, okay, now I need to stop, now I need to rest? And so it seems easier to just say, yes, I can do that, yes, I can show up
Hmm.
over and over again, no matter if you're being hurt in the process. But you're right, no can be very hard for some.
Yeah, and I think because no indicates a form of change that has to happen. And these folks don't like, a lot of people don't like change.
Yes.
And I think that's the bad part. They don't like change. They don't know how to handle it. They put themselves in predicaments where, like, oh my goodness, what next? What next? I can't, they give themselves of their friends so much that they don't know how to put themselves first.
Well, you are right, and not changing. Change is uncomfortable. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna I think about myself sometimes. I can remember maybe about 5 years ago, I was like, I really want to experience, I want to meet new friends. I want to be able to go out and go to concerts and, and do all the things. And then how many of us, then as soon as you meet a friend girl and then she says, come on, let's go. So let's, go to a concert. Do I really want to go? Maybe you start thinking about all the things. So it's
Mhm.
comfortable. Sometimes it's comfortable just being around the ones that maybe you have your childhood friends,
Mhm.
and that kind of leads into that last stage of release,
Mhm.
because that's
Okay.
hard, and that represents that change. To look at, I may have had a friendship that is 35 years long. You
Mhm.
have to look at quality
Mhm.
over quantity. Number one,
Mhm.
um,
Right.
doesn't really matter the amount of friends, but also the years of a friendship, because individuals change. You
Yes.
may not be the same as you were in middle school. Now
Mhm.
you're two full grown adults who have had two different, experiences. You're experiencing the world very different, and so
Mhm.
that release stage is about that change. It's about sitting down and looking at, okay, what needs to be repaired? Is this relationship one that I can sit down with this friend and we can sit down and we can talk about this as two adults? And do they have we each have the comprehension, because sometimes people hear things through trauma too.
Yep.
you know,
Mhm.
do they have the comprehension for, well, we both have the comprehension to be able to repair this? Is this something that just needs to be repositioned? Maybe this is a friend My grandmother used to say there are levels of friendship. So
Mhm.
you may have your best friend, and it may be an acquaintance. You know,
Yep.
who could say that friendships can't be repositioned in,
Right.
in in that season? Maybe the person who was there with you, your ride or die, who was there with you during COVID, maybe after COVID has now things going on in their life, and maybe she can't be there like that. So maybe it doesn't mean she's not your friend. You just need to
Right.
reposition. So repair, reposition, and then release. You know,
Right.
at what cost? Is it costing me peace? Is it taking me? Is this relationship costing me peace? Is it costing me energy?
Mhm.
And that's part of those boundaries. Are we pouring in more? Is it just a friend that whenever they need something they call you, but then
Mhm.
whenever you need something they're never there? Is it that friend that whenever you do talk, maybe you're on the phone, you're
Mhm.
spilling all the good tea, but then
Mhm.
that friend is just quiet and you know nothing about them? Like, those are things that you have to look at.
You definitely, definitely. And it's just like, I know I've been questioning a lot of things lately, but one question that I had was, can you genuinely love someone, appreciate the history you share, and still decide that they no longer deserves access to you? Right? How do you release a friendship without carrying guilt, anger, or resentment?
I think that excellent question, and I believe that right there does start with that internal piece and taking it to God. I think you have to, no matter if it's a friendship, it's a relationship, it's a family relationship. It,
Mhm.
for me, it begins with starting with the Father, taking it there and releasing it there, and asking for His guidance, and
Mhm.
then looking at too again that very first step
Mhm.
of kind of the first and the last when we talk about repositioning and looking inside.
Mhm.
That boundary building process is, number one, is to be able to have the awareness is that this is
Mhm.
not feeding, it's not healthy,
Right.
because we have a tendency to stay in things longer.
Then we need to.
We need to, because
Mhm.
either we don't want to give up, or we associate the giving up with failure. Now,
Mhm.
realizing that the giving up and the access, moving the access around, is really releasing, moving you on to maybe something better.
Mhm.
So I think it can be done, but it's the work. It
Mhm.
requires work. People, I think sometimes there's a misconception that friendships are not work, because we think, oh, it's just easy. And for some, maybe it is. But there's still an accountability piece to look inward and
Mhm.
to have those boundaries.
I totally agree. One thing that I always stress when I talk to, folks about friendships and stuff is people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime,
Right.
right? And is determining how long this person should stay. And I think, again, we always see people with the whole guilt piece, because they feel so guilty about letting friendships go. But it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay to move on. It's okay to grow. That's what me and Dr. Tanise is telling y'all today. It's okay to grow. It's okay to be able to move on with your life and not feel guilty about it. When it comes to friendships, we can go on and on for hours about the things that we see, the things that we know when it comes to friendships, but at the end of the day, it starts with you.
And growth often comes out of some difficult seasons and decisions.
Hmm.
Um, I've had friends sometimes, say, well, I never thought that this was going to happen. I thought that this friend was going to be with me forever.
Hmm.
And sometimes when those situations are coming up, it's coming up for a reason. It's that it's saying, hey, look at me, take awareness of
Hmm.
what's going on. You have to, that environment,
Hmm.
think about environment, we think about the physical environment of just our homes. But
Right.
but I challenge you that the environment is more than that. It's your mind.
Right.
It's what are you exposing yourself to?
Mm-hmm.
It that goes into what we're looking at and feeding ourselves with in on social media, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that environment is our bodies. How do you feel when you're around this person, or when this person leaves you, or people? And
Right.
very big on, you just don't need a crowd. It's not about the quantity, it is
Mm-hmm.
about the quality. And not so
Mm-hmm.
much transactional relationship, you do for me, I do for you, because there's
Right.
going to be times you may not be able to do. But how
Right.
does that person show up for you when you're not in the room?
Mm. Than that part, I was reading online. It was so many different things that came up, and one of the questions somebody posed this past week, which was, they were saying if you seen your friend's mate cheating, on them, would you call and tell them, or which what would you do?
Mhm.
And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, we know this is a conversations that people always, have about different situations based off of scenarios that they seen happen in real life. And I was reading some of the comments and I could not stop laughing because, some people was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell. Some people like, oh no, I'm going over there and I'm gonna start a fight. And, and just reading. And it's just like, as y'all are doing this, you have to also question to yourself, if this situation was you, would your friend do this for you?
You have to definitely be aware of the person's
Hmm.
history, um, the communication that you have, you know,
Hmm.
with this.
Because you could be a friend to somebody and they don't have to be a friend to you.
Yeah, yeah. And friendships are so important. You know,
Hmm.
they are so important when we look at just the quality of life.
Hmm.
You want to spend your time when you are have someone that is you can have enjoyable moments with, but
Right.
also someone that holds you accountable. You also don't want a friend that's going to be a yes woman or a yes man.
That
Everything
part.
go is right. You want, for someone,
Honest criticism.
right, to be able to say, that may not have been the best choice that you
Hmm.
made, friend, but I love you anyway, and maybe
Hmm.
might think about it this way. So that accountability piece and boundaries,
Hmm.
it all fits together like a puzzle. And
Yes.
I think the younger
Hmm.
generation, as friendships, the
Hmm.
dynamics of friendships have changed because
Okay.
now with social media, some individuals can associate friends with, oh, I got 1 million likes. So those all the friends.
Child. And look, we can go on and on for months about social media, and that's a whole nother monkey right there. When we think about friends, and when you look at social media, people think that because they have X amount that they become a friend to someone, on social media, that that's their real life friend. Never had a conversation with them in person, never had a phone call with them, no other communication other than I liked your post.
Right, right.
Not, and people be really going in like, yeah, that's my bestie. You don't know them folks.
Yes. And see, that right there would make me, wonder. I also read the comments on things. You learn so much
Me
from
too.
comments.
The comments is where the party at.
The comments tell you be like, oh, okay, okay. I didn't know that happened last week when
Right, right.
you learn it from the comments. But it's any relationship, friendship,
Hmm.
family ship, marriage,
Hmm.
it's that relationship with one, that internal piece, you know,
Hmm.
because it would make me wonder if it's so important to have that type of bond and connection, because the numbers look like I have this many friends.
Hmm.
What am I missing? What am I yearning for on the inside that I got to work with in me first?
Right.
So that once that gets fed,
Hmm.
then the right friendships are going to come
Hmm.
because that energy is
Hmm.
being projected.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So what is next for you, Dr. Tan?
Wow. Well, let me just tell you, Dope DSW has launched earlier this year. This is my baby, and it has been in works for about 10 years.
Congratulations.
And so, very excited. We're going to have some storytellers on there to be able to share their stories.
Okay.
There is a book that is currently being written to add to the collection of some of the others. I'm excited about that. Um,
Mhm.
the Dope DSW review was able to highlight some beautiful stories. One of the stories, it touched all of the stories touched my heart, but
Mhm.
one of the stories that was shared in it was from a intimate partner violence. So I'm gonna just call her a warrior. I'm gonna call her a survivor. She's
Mhm.
a warrior, and
Okay.
her story is so powerful. And so if I encourage your audience to please come check us out at dopedsw.com. If you have a story that you're wanting to share, and let me just tell you this too, because a lot of people think, oh, well, my story is not it's not important.
Right.
Every story
It's important.
is important. Every
That's
story
right.
can impact somebody else. Somebody else can say, "Oh my goodness, that right there. I needed to hear that. I needed to see that." And so,
Mhm.
got a story to share. If you know someone else that has a story, you want to tell me about their story, please reach out. And share your story. And that can be either in the magazine or on the podcast. And so that's what we got going on. Just we have some stories that amplify so we can continue to make change. We need hope. We need to revitalize faith in this time, in the times that we're living in.
Yes.
And it's those stories that make you say, I know for me, if God can do it for me, he can do it for you.
I know that's right. This was awesome. I am so happy that you was able to join me this morning for us to have this conversation, and I look forward to us reconnecting again and having more conversations, throughout the year, to talk about all of these various topics that keep coming up. I know friendship is definitely your wheelhouse, and so that's something that we definitely going to talk about cuz child, I got a whole lot of stuff.
So I'm going to leave everybody. I'm Dr. Tan, but remember, wash, rinse, and release.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Tan, and for sharing your wisdom and the heart behind Dope DSW. I appreciate the work that you're doing to create create successful spaces rooted in faith, authentic storytelling, and lived experience and community. Thank you for spending your time with Tyra's Just Saying. And until next time, continue to live, learn, and grow. And most importantly, keep saying what needs to be said. I'm Dr. Tyra, and I'm just saying, y'all, have a good day.
Bye.
Oh, and make sure to follow Dr. Tan on all things social media. Her information is located at the bottom, everybody. Dope DSW on all social media. Her website is also listed below, dopedsw.com. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Bye.